guys, BBI here. I want to stop and say thanks for tuning in and checking out whatever the video is about that's about ready to come up next. If you could take a minute and hit subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you enjoy what you've seen here, make sure to hit the like button. We'd greatly appreciate your support. Anyhow, guys, all that aside, let's get on with the show. We're gonna make you famous. You don't want to be famous, do you, Brown Sugar? No.
I'd be famous in a different way, not that way.
Well, that's because you're India's biggest porn star. You know, you and your horseweakness, it's like, Jesus. Man, dude, I'm sitting on the couch this morning and homeboy over here gets up and comes walking through with morning wood to go to the bathroom. And, like, he had to open the door, back up, then come through the door, and then had to stop, open up the bathroom door, back up, then go into the bathroom. It's amazing. Amazing. India's biggest porn star. John Holmes, bro, I ain't got nothing on you. That's all I'm going to say. Anyhow, gentlemen, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, dogs, cats, horses, and, well, long dong King Kongs. We're joined with our friend here today, 918 Mean Machine. Correct?
Yes.
We call him Brown Sugar, because that was his stage name when he was, you know, back in the 70s. So this is one of about, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is one of 6 or 7 boxes he brought up for me to work on. Just take a nice slow pan by it. I think we all know who built this. We've seen this song and dance before, I think you and I, together. Just me and you and me, so happy together. We've had a small problem. I mean, we've literally had a small problem here. It got, I'd say it got a little hot, wouldn't you? We're not too sure exactly what failed, but stuff kept going bad. So what we're here to do today is to make it so that this thing's got some legs to it. And we are gonna radically modify this thing. See, as we slide back through, we got some burned up resistors there. And underneath this wire here, there's some more burned up stuff. But see now, look, this is what keys me to the, we were driving this a little hot, is this resistor. You see how it's discolored? When that is discolored, that means there's so much drive going in and the imbalance has been present for so long that now these balance resistors are having to take up the slack. Usually, when the amplifier goes down your output combiner ring, it'll collapse from imbalance in the output side. But when you start seeing the input resistors burn up, and like this over here, our final stage, our splitter, our input splitter, you see how these are all burned up?
Yeah.
That means we stayed on the mall a little bit too long after the thing decided to quit. Does that make sense? So we've got to watch those watt meters. Got to watch the watt meters. Anyhow, we got quite a few sections in here that are going to need some love from me. And the other main thing that we're going to do is we're going to pull all these caps out. He's running a bank of supercapacitors in his truck now, so we don't need this little tiny bit of ferric capacitance. We're going to pull all this out, and then we're going to redo the power wires, because this stuff that comes over the top, we're going to get rid of that. We're going to pull the board up. We're going to run the wires underneath. We're going to have them coming out the back nice and neat and pretty the way they should have been done from the beginning. We're going to give them some monster high flow fans, and we're going to change a bunch of stuff. But those are just primarily the things that we're going to work on today. That, and we got to get them running again. So on that note, your white ginger from Idaho and Brown Sugar. We'll see you. Bye. We'll be back. You know what they say, man. Bigger the solder gob, better the job, right? God. Okay, so this is where we're at, guys. Got all the caps pulled out. Went ahead and drilled some new holes from some new power wires, because literally half the amplifier did not have power wire attached to it. Just the front half. Now, we could stand here all day long and argue if these are adequate enough to carry enough amperage to run this box. I think it probably is. But we all know that the front half of this amplifier is going to receive more amperage than these last back set of 4s. because amperage and voltage and everything is like water. It's going to take the path of least resistance. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue these out. So we have a full distribution bar the whole length. That way we have equal amperage distribution throughout the entire box. So then what we did is we plugged our holes in the back, cleaned all the silicone off the back of here, and then we opened up our vent slots in the back so we can get much more air velocity. And yeah, we're going to do the super crackhead fans on this thing, see if we can shove a little bit more air through it. We went through and we cleaned the combiner ring up, got all the burnt resistors out of it, and we cleaned up all the carbon score off the back of that. Now as we're going through things here, because we've got the wrong wattage resistors on the 10 ohms, they stay intact when the transistor goes down. So this resistor is slightly discolored, and this transistor is actually unsoldered itself. So we're going to have to completely disassemble this 4-pil section, and we're going to check all the transistors individually. We're going to pair up the probably going to have to take this one and pair them up, because they'll have the closest to the same beta gain. I have a feeling that this one's toast. This one's probably still good, but it got so hot the cap came off. So even if we do manage to magically super glue that cap back on, is it really worth risking it? Is it worth risking it? I don't know. Is a $55 part worth having to have the whole amplifier taken out and repaired again? No. We'll pull the transistor out, and we're going to put two of the two new ones that we're going to slide in here, which will also be matched, in one of these spots as we go. We've got a pretty chooched up 10 ohmer here, so we know this one's bad. So that's a total of 3 on this one side. And then we go over here. We've got another one burned up here. Okay, 10 ohmer. We're just going off burned up 10 ohms at the moment. Several of these are discolored as we go through here. And if we notice, the lot numbers all change as we go down. 1H, 1H, and then all of a sudden we get down here towards the tail end of things. 6A, 6A, 1I, 1H. This one's burned. I feel that this one's also going to be toast because we had a burned up combiner resistor over here. So we're going to have to pull these and gain check these also, this one here. So a total of 6, possible 7 bad transistors. I think that's what we've been saying since the very beginning, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. So we're going to go through. I'm going to pull probably all these 100 ohmers out, and we're going to give this thing a bath. And we're going to get rid of all the old solder flux and all the old burned up little shmoo bits and little leftover residues from the last couple patch jobs. The reason I feel that this is a necessity for us to do, bro, because if you look, these are all 1H, and then after that, they're a whole bunch of different mix. Pretty much all 1H from here forward, then a bunch of different mix. Mm-hmm. So that tells us there's 2 things that's taking place. We're not getting enough air through the amplifier to cool off the tail end. But I mean, if you think about it, the air comes in the cabinet. It's got to wrap around all this horse shit in the front. And by the time the air gets down to about here in the heatsink, what's happened to it?
It's already hot.
It's already hot. So the only thing that we can do is increase the volume of air so we can overcome that and maybe push our saturation point down here to the end. But the other thing is if the transistors that are at the back end of the amplifier don't have an equal amount of current draw, mm-hmm. So you've got this big chunk of powered section of the amp. The other back end of it's relying on these little buses to carry that amperage. So the farther we get towards the tail end, there's less and less amperage, there's less and less voltage present. So the transistors are having to work harder. They're getting hot air anyhow, and they're the ones that are getting the hot air. Okay. So let's see if we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Took all the burned up input resistors off over here. So we're going to go back. We'll probably put the 2 watts back in here. We're going to leave all of these 2 watts, but everything from the output on from this point forward is going to be 5 watts. Nice big blue, beautiful resistors. So just want to give you an update on to the next thing. Oh, and then I got to go through and I got to redo a bunch of these capacitors because this is no. We want to have these down nice and tight where the capacitor's nice and tight. We don't have to worry about the legs getting bent over or, heaven forbid, shaking over and making contact with anything else. So we got to go through and clean up some of this other stuff, but yeah, that's where we're at. I think what we'll probably also do is we're going to check these output capacitors, why we have this apart before we clutter this up with power wire. Just double check everything. Might as well. You're here. You drove 9.5 hours for us to do this. Might as well give it a thorough job and not just a 5-minute fix. So, all right, we'll be back.
5,000 watt slug, but
Okay,
I
so
shouldn't put it in there, right?
well,
No.
so over here, guys, is a 5,000 watt slug. Over here is a 500 watt slug. That's the driver forward to forward. There's no reflect meter. So what do? We added 2 super capacitors. We completely rebuilt that 32 pill, right?
Yep.
Okay. So what I need you to do is just hold this steady, just like that on the meters. Keep it so we can see both meters. Just like that. Ready? Okay, so we're going to throw a 1,000 watt carrier to start out with. Remember, you got to idle it up just a hair. 1,000 watt slug to start out with, or 1,000 watt carrier to start out with. So we're modulating forward to almost 4,000 watts. Remember, 5,000 watt slug here, so fully deflected 5 grand. Okay, now we're going to do max power test. Gotta stay steady on that idle, homie.
Okay.
Goodbye. But the voltage is what's impressing me. One. That's a 32 pill on a 300 amp alternator, right?
Yeah, 370.
370 mech man.
Yeah.
So we're putting 600 amps worth of load. Hey, brown sugar. Good job.
Thank you.
All right, now get out your...